carried.
Parliament votes to send Canadian fighter jets to assist U.S.-led coalition in Iraq. U.S.-led airstrikes push back the militant group ISIS near a Turkish-Syrian border town. And fans hit downtown Toronto to get ready for the season opener between the Leafs and Canadians. Hi, and welcome to Humber News. I'm Ainsley Smith, coming to you from our newsroom here at Humber College North Campus. Here are today's top stories. Canada is set to join the international coalition launching airstrikes on the militant group ISIS, where U.S.-led airstrikes are already targeting ISIS strongholds. This amateur video shows smoke rising after U.S.-led airstrikes near Kobani, a town on the border between Turkey and Syria. The coalition bombed ISIS targets near the border town, which has been under attack by ISIS militants for 3 weeks. The airstrikes are part of a mission in Syria over the last few days to prevent ISIS from capturing the town. Meanwhile, violence has erupted in other Turkish towns as Kurdish protesters took to the streets to demand the government do more to protect Kobani. Authorities say at least 18 people have died in clashes, and curfews have been imposed in at least 5 provinces. The Ebola virus has claimed its latest victim. The patient who was in hospital in Dallas, Texas, has died. He arrived in Dallas late last month from Liberia and had been in isolation in hospital. Officials say 10 people had direct contact with him while he was contagious. Meanwhile, in Madrid, protesters have gathered outside the home of the nurse who contracted the virus. Authorities want to euthanize the family dog because they believe it could spread the disease. The protesters want officials to reconsider that decision. Japanese rescue workers have uncovered another body on Mount Ontake in Japan, bringing the total number of deaths from last week's eruption to 55. Rescue workers are conducting search operations by helicopter and on foot along the peak of the mountain. The search will continue for the remaining 8 people missing in what has become the nation's worst volcanic disaster in over a century. Forest fires are raging in California's Yosemite National Park. The fire began yesterday afternoon, forcing the evacuation of 60 homes in a nearby community. To make matters worse, a firefighting plane crashed while en route over the fires. There is no immediate word on the cause of the crash, and the condition of the lone pilot on board is undetermined. Authorities say the 2014 fire season is on track to be California's worst on record, with CAL FIRE responding to over 5,100 fires already. Toronto police are looking for 3 suspects in connection with the shooting near Don Bosco Catholic Secondary School. Police responded to shootings around noon on Monday behind an apartment building across the street from Don Bosco. 2 high school students were gunned down, and friends and family have identified both victims. 17-year-old Zaid Youssef was a student at Don Bosco, and 15-year-old Michael Menjivar was a student at James Cardinal McGuigan Catholic High School. One person was taken into custody at the scene on Monday, but released later with no charges. Police say they're searching for young people who may have fled the scene. The shootings have raised the question, just how safe are we here at Humber? Humber News reporter Adriana Jung has more.
The North Etobicoke community was shaken after Monday's news about 2 teens shot and killed near a local high school. In light of this event, Humber News wanted to know how prepared our school is in case of a violent emergency. Rob Kilfoyle, the Director of Public Safety at Humber, says we are well prepared.
And we have a number of practices and measures in place to help students feel safe on campus.
Kilfoyle says that although North Campus hasn't experienced a violent attack yet, anything can happen. Humber News asked students how safe they felt on campus.
Pretty safe actually, because I know 23 Division is not that far from here either way, and there's a bunch of cops everywhere regardless.
I think I feel pretty safe just because there's like a lot of people here, and yeah, I guess there's a lot of safety in the school.
Humber practices an annual lockdown exercise in November. Messages are broadcasted around campus explaining the lockdown code. Students are then advised to lock classroom doors and to remain on campus until further notice. Adriana Jung, Humber News.
The NHL regular season begins tonight, and celebrations have already started in Toronto. The Leafs kick off their season tonight at home against the Montreal Canadiens, and Maple Leaf Square will be jammed. And Yonge and Dundas Square will also be packed with hockey music fans alike, as a Tragically Hip will help kick off the NHL season with a free concert. Overseas, 2 Americans and 1 German have been awarded this year's Nobel Prize in Chemistry. The work in optical microscopy enabled them to work around the fact that bacteria can't be seen through an optical microscope. Though they couldn't find a way to make the objects appear larger, they did find ways to light up and turn off parts of the organisms. That allowed the tiniest of molecules to be seen much more clearly. Those of us who get up early were in for an awesome sight this morning. A rare total lunar eclipse. It's known as a blood moon because of the reddish color the moon takes on as it passes into the Earth's shadow. This eclipse is the second of 4 over a 2-year period that began in April and ends this time next year. When we come back, we'll tell you what's happening in the world of sports, and Cheyenne Lynch will have your 3-day forecast.
We're off to a cool but sunny start this morning with a chance of showers later on in the afternoon. It is currently 11 degrees, going up to a daytime high of 13. We will have your 3-day forecast and more coming up in our 2 o'clock news show.
We'll have your sports after the break. But first, it's a brawl. 2 kangaroos had a 20-minute boxing match in Australia. An Australian homeowner shot these bugs, punching and kicking each other just outside of his house. This is a fight for the ladies. They're doing this to impress the ladies. It's not uncommon to encounter kangaroos in Australia, but rarely do you see them sparring in front of your driveway.